The news struck like thunder, echoing through global headlines and sending tremors across South Africa and the wider international community. The World Court, formerly known as the International Court of Justice, issued an uncompromising directive to the South African government to hold President Ramaphosa accountable for a string of alleged misconducts and violations of international law. The revelation sent shockwaves through political circles, business communities, and even into the homes of ordinary citizens. Although the official details remain cloaked in diplomatic secrecy, credible leaks and insider reports suggest that the charges involve grave human rights abuses, breaches of binding treaty obligations, and a worrying, long-standing pattern of executive overreach. For many South Africans, this moment feels like the culmination of years of growing anxiety about the decline of democratic values. Never before in the country's history has the international legal system imposed such direct and public pressure on its executive branch. Parliament now finds itself under intense global scrutiny, with lawmakers expected to answer not only to their own citizens but to the international community as well. The World Court's message was direct, urgent, and unmistakable: accountability is not negotiable, and apologies will not suffice. Ignoring this demand, the statement warned, could invite political isolation, economic sanctions, and severe reputational damage on the world stage. As the news reached Cape Town, Parliament descended into turmoil. Witnesses described scenes of chaos as members exchanged heated words in a chamber that quickly became ungovernable. Some MPs shouted across the floor, demanding transparency and immediate answers from the executive, while others urged that the matter be handled quietly and strategically before any public statement was made. The atmosphere was charged, electric, with tempers flaring and alliances fracturing in real time. In dramatic fashion, several opposition MPs stormed out during emergency sessions, condemning the debacle as both a national humiliation and a moral breakdown. Media coverage of the walkouts further reinforced the image of a leadership unraveling under pressure. The timing of the World Court's intervention could not have been worse for the ruling elite. With national elections approaching and public confidence in government already at historic lows, the declaration has deeply wounded Parliament's legitimacy. Many citizens, already skeptical of their leaders, now regard this external scrutiny as both embarrassing and essential. For opposition members, the development serves as proof that unchecked executive power inevitably leads to abuse. Supporters of the ruling party, however, see the court's actions as an assault on national sovereignty, raising heated debates over self-determination and whether South Africa is being unfairly targeted by global powers. Inside Parliament, the questions echo relentlessly: how was this allowed to continue unchecked? How could the executive branch have steered itself into such dangerous legal territory? And most urgently, what will Parliament do next? Each unanswered question hung heavy in the chamber, amplifying the sense that the entire government now stood on fragile ground. President Ramaphosa has, for now, chosen silence as his shield. His only public statement was a brief, carefully worded comment insisting that South Africa's sovereignty must not be compromised while his administration reviews the World Court's correspondence. Yet rather than calming the situation, this evasive stance has only inflamed public outrage. His unwillingness to directly deny the accusations, or address them head-on, has fueled speculation about guilt or, at the very least, incompetence. Supporters defend his approach as strategic patience, arguing he is biding time until the uproar subsides before taking decisive action. But for the wider public, patience has worn thin, and his silence increasingly resembles weakness. Behind closed doors, however, insiders paint a different picture. Far from being calm and measured, President Ramaphosa is reportedly in a state of near panic. He has been seen in urgent meetings with the Justice Department, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and his closest advisors. Rumors swirl of desperate efforts to secure legal immunity, quiet diplomatic appeals for leniency, and even plans to reshuffle the cabinet in a bid to deflect attention. His advisors are divided, some urging him to fight back forcefully, others warning that confrontation with the global community could be disastrous. But one truth overshadows every discussion: the longer the president remains silent, the louder and more forceful the World Court's demand for accountability will become. The crisis has not been confined to the presidency. The African National Congress, ANC, itself is beginning to splinter under the mounting strain. Senior party figures, provincial leaders, and longtime members are openly divided over the next steps. Some argue that South Africa must respect international law, even if that means disciplining or removing the president to preserve the nation's democratic integrity. Others view the World Court's actions as neo-colonial interference, insisting that the country must resist foreign pressure and safeguard its sovereignty at all costs. This division within the ANC is no longer theoretical. Confidential recordings from recent National Executive Committee meetings, leaked to the press, reveal growing discord. Some senior officials have blamed Ramaphosa's distant, at times dismissive leadership style for leading South Africa into this predicament. A few have gone further, calling for new leadership capable of restoring both the party's crumbling image and the nation's tarnished reputation on the world stage. What was once viewed as a unified political powerhouse is now visibly fracturing, with each new leak deepening perceptions of collapse. As pressure mounts, Parliament faces an increasingly heavy burden. The eyes of the world are fixed on South Africa, and the nation waits anxiously for its representatives to act. Lawmakers stand at a decisive crossroads: either uphold the Constitution and international law or retreat into partisan protectionism, risking deeper disgrace and possible sanctions. The stakes could not be higher, and inaction carries grave consequences. Legal experts have warned that failure to respond decisively could provoke harsher measures, economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, or even targeted prosecutions of specific leaders. Such fallout could devastate South Africa's already struggling economy, worsen unemployment, and erode the last remnants of its international credibility. The World Court's ruling is far more than a procedural reprimand; it is a resounding declaration that no one, not even the president, stands above the law. South Africa now teeters on the edge of a political abyss, and the choices made in the coming days will determine whether the country descends into disorder or finds the courage to rebuild integrity within its institutions. The uncertainty gripping the nation has left ordinary citizens both anxious and energized. Protests are beginning to erupt in major cities as students, civil rights groups, and grassroots activists demand transparency and accountability. Calls for President Ramaphosa's resignation, temporary or permanent, are growing louder by the day. What began as a political controversy has evolved into a national reckoning, testing the very strength of South Africa's democratic framework under unprecedented strain. We will continue to monitor this story closely, providing up-to-the-minute updates, analysis, and behind-the-scenes insight as events unfold. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications so you won't miss the next chapter in what may prove to be the most defining moment in South Africa's democratic journey. Finally, we invite you to share your thoughts. Should President Ramaphosa face justice under international law? Can Parliament still regain the trust of the people? And what future do you envision for the ANC after the seismic and destabilizing chapter? Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and above all, stay fearless.